What's going on, family? My name is Patty Lifts. I'm a WNBF Pro men's physique competitor, and I'm actually looking to compete at WNBF Worlds this year. I'm also a full-time online fitness coach, and I'm really excited to share today's video. And I explain how I actually went from 126 pounds all the way up to 220 pounds throughout my entire fitness journey. Now sit back, relax, and before I get into today's video, please subscribe. If you don't like me, you can always unsubscribe later, and let's get into the 7 ways you guys can start building muscle fast. I know a lot of you guys might feel like you're eating so much and the scale's not increasing, you're trying everything in the gym and you're not seeing the results as fast as you like. You might also feel like your genetics could be holding you back and you haven't had the confidence to talk to that girl you always wanted to talk to in the gym. So if you are feeling this way, let's get into tip number 1 so I can help you guys out. The first one is going to be super annoying, but I can call you guys out right now because I probably know you guys aren't tracking your food. To make sure you guys are optimally gaining weight, you want to ensure you're gaining 1% of your body weight per month. So you have to make sure you're tracking and ensure that you're in a slight surplus to gain an optimal amount of muscle mass, because if you're gaining weight too fast, you're just going to be putting on fat mass, and then you're going to have to actually cut that fat later. Now, the negative part of that is that number 1, you're going to be taking time away from actually building muscle, and number 2, because you're extending the time you have to cut, you're risking more muscle loss. So it's pretty much a double whammy. So if you track your food and you track your body weight, you can see throughout the week, am I gaining at the correct rate? Am I actually gaining any weight at all? And you can analyze this data and make sure you're making adjustments to ensure you're getting the best bang for a buck. And the difference between people in the gym that are gaining consistent results on a weekly basis versus people who don't make results at all is literally tracking data and making sure that the numbers are increasing over time. Just like anything else, if you track your finances, you're probably going to be more on track with your finances. If you track your food, you're probably going to be more on track with your diet goals. I forget the name of the law, but anything that you track, you're just naturally going to be better at. So make sure you are tracking, because if you aren't and you're not gaining weight, that's probably the reason why. So moving on to tip number 2, and it's the optimal rate of gain. And I feel like many of you are actually getting great results, although your expectations might be a little bit too high, because you might think, oh, gaining 1 pound of lean muscle mass a month is not that much muscle. But if you think about it, over a 1-year span, 12 pounds of muscle is huge. Now imagine doing that over 5 years. You literally will be gaining 60 pounds of muscle, and that's probably not realistic. So with that said, if you're gaining 1% a month, you're doing amazing. Anything beyond that, you're probably gaining fat and you're gonna have to cut it off, like I mentioned earlier. So you want to aim for that 1% range. Now, if you're not moving at that 1% range per month, then you probably have to increase your food. And you would never know this if you didn't track. So obviously make sure you're tracking, and number 2, make sure you're gaining 1% of your body weight per month. So if you weigh 150 pounds, you probably should gain 1.5 pounds per month. If you weigh 200 pounds, you probably have to gain 2 pounds per month. So if you are within this range, you're doing a great job. You don't have to worry. And if you're going above it, you should probably slow it down. And if you're not gaining weight at all, you definitely have to increase your calories. So moving on to tip number 3, and there's no point to increase your calories if you're not progressive overloading, because if you're not working out and you're just eating more food, you're literally just going to be gaining weight. So it's super important that you're actually progressive overloading and actually increasing the weight in the gym over time, because if you're going into the gym and you're just regularly benching 1 plate, you can't expect your body to change. What you have to do is provide a new stimulus to your muscles to ensure you can induce some new growth. So next time you're in the gym, make sure you're adding a 5 plate to the bench. Make sure you're on the cable machine. Instead of putting 100, go 110. Next time you're doing curls with 30s, go up to the 35s. And if you feel like putting weight is too hard because you won't be able to hit your rep range, well then maybe keep the weight the same and increase 1 rep, then increase 2 reps. And then if you can increase 2 reps, then increase the load. All right. And if you are super advanced, you're getting to that advanced elite level, then it's going to take a little bit longer to add a rep or add some weight. So what you can do is actually just improve the quality of the rep. You can increase time under tension by controlling the rep at a little bit slower and more controlled rate. So this said, if you're not increasing volume over time, you're not providing your body enough stimulus to actually grow. So make sure that you're both tracking your food, you're gaining weight at the right rate, and you're also increasing volume over time. So moving on to tip number 4, and this goes back to nutrition, and it's eating enough protein. Protein is literally the building blocks of your muscle. If you are hitting your calories, but you're not getting enough protein in, you're actually holding yourself back. So at the very minimum, I like to recommend you to be tracking your protein and calories, all right? This can ensure you that you're going to be gaining weight at the correct rate, but also ensure that the composition of gain is going to be correct. Because if you're just tracking your calories and gaining weight without tracking your protein, you literally could be just gaining fat. So make sure you're getting enough protein in. And to go a little bit deeper, ensure you're getting at least 20 grams of protein per meal. And if you want to optimize things, you can push it up to 40 grams per meal. And this would add actually an additional 10 to 20% of muscle protein synthesis. Now, if you want to push it and you're a competitor, you're advanced, you're elite, you can actually add an additional 5 grams of leucine to your meals to promote a little bit more protein muscle synthesis, because leucine is what actually triggers this activation within your body. So moving on to the next tip, and this one might be a little bit boring, but I know you guys are probably not doing this, and it's get enough sleep. You're probably up late playing Fortnite, playing video games, watching Netflix, just texting, literally not doing shit. So you might as well look at your calendar and ensure that every task you have to do in a day is done early so you can get enough sleep. And if you were to actually sleep a little bit less, maybe an hour or two less, and you're trying to lose weight, for an example, the majority of the mass you would lose would be lean tissue. And it takes so long to gain muscle, as you heard earlier about how long it actually takes to gain weight, which would in turn mean you're wasting your time trying to grow. Now, if you add an additional 1 to 2 hours of sleep and you're getting 7 to 9 hours of sleep, then in that group, they ended up losing 80% fat and only 20% of their lean muscle mass. So in turn, if you aren't getting enough sleep, you're not actually recovering as much. You're not actually getting the best bang for buck and gaining as much muscle as you can, because your body won't be able to recover. You're going into the gym all the time, beating your muscles up, beating your body up, but you're only going to gain the benefit when you do recover, if you actually do recover. And take it from me, I've experienced rhabdomyolysis, and it was a horrible experience where I truly was overtraining. So more isn't always better. Make sure you're working smarter, not harder, because you can always work smart and hard at the perfect rate. So make sure you get at least 8 hours of sleep in, and that means being in bed longer than 8 hours, because you want to be asleep for 8 hours. Try not to be around white light 1 to 2 hours before bed, and try not to consume caffeine in between 6 to 8 hours before you actually try and go to bed. I promise you, once you change your sleep schedule, once you're disciplined to it, you're going to see a lot better results in the gym, and it's one of the easiest things that you can do. Moving on to the second last tip, and it's going to be, you're not progressing your set and rep scheme. All right, a lot of us go into the gym, myself included, and hit the same thing day in and day out. And you don't switch up your workout plan, you don't switch up your rep range, you don't switch up your sets. And if you do that, you're going to be providing yourself the same stimulus, and your body's going to adapt. And what's going to happen is your body's going to get used to what stimulus you're providing it, and you're not going to grow. So what I recommend for you to do is switch up your workout plan every 4 to 6 weeks, switch up the set and rep ranges, and even periodize and switch up your exercises. All right, you can keep the staples, of course, but there is going to be benefit of switching things up. Now, with this said, if your goals are hypertrophy based, of course, you do want to have most of your workout between the 8 and 12 range, maybe even 15. And then you want to have a little bit of your rep ranges between, 4 and 7, and then other rep ranges between 15 and 20. So I would say the vast majority be in between 8 to 12, 25%. In the lower rep ranges, and then 25% a little bit higher, and you're going to get the best bang for buck. This way you can ensure you're going to be providing your body a hypertrophy based stimulus in all different rep ranges. Of course, 8 to 12 is going to be most efficient. You're going to get stronger and get some neural adaptations when you're performing the lower rep ranges, and you're going to provide yourself some more metabolic stress when you are performing the higher rep ranges, because mechanical tension is the number one mechanism for muscle hypertrophy, and we're going to be measuring volume in different ways. Of course, number one is going to be set volume, but there is also mathematical volume, and as you progressive overload, your mathematical volume is going to increase, and if you're hitting the correct amount of set volume, you're going to provide your body the best amount of stimulus you're going to need to optimally grow new muscle mass. So to be a little bit more specific, the volume recommendation for set volume is going to be between 10 to 20 reps per muscle group, and you need to make sure these are truly effective sets. And this is moving me on to my last tip, and I want to call a lot of you guys out and say that your intensity is fake, because I want you to go into the gym right now and hit a set of 10 at an RPE 9. All right, now I want to do it all over again. Put a gun to your head and say hit an RPE 9, and if you actually can add an additional 1 or 2 reps, you weren't pushing it hard enough. You weren't accurately tracking your relative intensity, because if you aren't hitting the correct amount of relative intensity, which means how close you are to failure during that set, it's going to be a waste because it won't be effective. For an example, I could do 20 reps of walking. It's not going to provide myself a great stimulus to my legs to grow because I wasn't pushing them hard enough. Now, if I actually go into the gym and I perform a set of 20 on squats and I get closer to failure, in between RPE 5 and RPE 10, I'm going to provide my body much more of a hypertrophy based stimulus. You want to make sure you're truly pushing it, because I know half of you guys are probably, slacking off when it kind of burns, when it's kind of tough, you just stop your set. Where there's another group who probably push it way too hard, mentally you're way stronger than you are physically, and you're pushing it too hard, where you're probably going to have to drop your intensity down. If you are trying to hit an RPE 9, make sure you only have 1 rep left. Push it so you literally only have 1 rep left. And if you're in the group of people who push it too hard, literally ensure you have that 1 rep left. If you feel like you might have 1 more rep, just stop, all right? Literally just stop. And to practice you hitting your RPE, what you can do is call out a lower RPE than you're trying to hit. So if your set is supposed to be RPE 9, then once you get to RPE 7, call it out and then see how many more reps you actually have left to see how accurate you were. And the only way to get better at this is to practice. So make sure you're going into the gym, periodically hitting some AMRAPs, calling out what RPE you're trying to hit, and over time, it's going to get much better. So when you combine this concept with the optimal amount of set volume, 10 to 20 sets per muscle group, you pair this with progressive overload, so your mathematical volume increases over time, as well as you're getting in the correct amount of protein and you're tracking your macros, and the rate of gain is 1% of your body weight per month, you will literally optimize your progress to ensure that you're getting the best bang for buck. You're gaining the most amount of muscle in the shortest period of time. And if you actually evaluate your biometric data and you see that you're staying lean, then you can push that number a little bit. That 1% range is just a recommendation, and vice versa. If you feel like you're gaining 1% a month, but you feel like a majority is fat by evaluating your biometric data, well, then you might need to tone back. So it's going to be a little bit different for everyone. Play around with these numbers because they're all averages, and you're going to see some awesome results. So make sure you guys go over this video again and take notes with a pen and paper. I probably should have mentioned that when it first started, but what I can guarantee you is if you use this framework, you're going to get the same results that I provided, some of the world-class athletes that I helped step on stage. Literally, a couple of our athletes just competed. 2 of them got their pro cards, and a bunch of them just competed and hit top 5. So if you want the same results, you want to optimize your progress and follow the same framework I'm even following as an athlete looking to compete at WNBF Worlds, then give it a try. So other than that, if you have questions on some of the details of this video, please put them in the comment section below. I'll be happy to help. If you want a little bit more intimate support, you guys can join my free Facebook group. It'll be in the link below. And if you want to work with me one-on-one, you can always apply for my online fitness coaching program to see if you do qualify to work with me. Other than that, I really appreciate you sticking around. You guys are the real OGs. So if you're not a part of the team, make sure you subscribe, like the video if you liked it, and I'll be talking to you guys soon. Take care. Peace, love, and protein, and goodbye. I don't know why I'm so weird ending these videos. Peace.
On my own, no fixer. I'm gonna